Hello and welcome to the module on listening for the key in Baldrige excellence. I think this might be one of the most important modules, and it is one that I wish I knew earlier in my Baldrige career. So what is key in Baldrige? So you're going to see this in the framework, and any place you see key, it's telling you the essential, the vital few, not everything. As you enter an organization and look for things, you're going to see all kinds of things within the organization. We're not looking for everything they do, and we're not looking for what we like the best. We're looking for what is most important to them, and they call those keys. Remember in your framework, go to page 47 if you have the business framework. If not, just go to the glossary and find the term key and read it. And remember that when you come to a term that is in all caps in the framework, there's a definition for it, and you want to use that definition so we're both on the same page, both the examiner and the organization, because that's the definition they would have used. So just that idea of major, most important, and what's critical to achieving the outcome that's important to you. And then you want to identify the key elements. And these are areas like key work systems, key customers, key results. Again, it's pointing to the few things that organizations must get right to succeed. So in Baldrige, key refers to the essential critical elements an organization must focus on to achieve success. Typically, no more than 5 in that area. What are your key customer segments? And it might be 3 to 5 or 6 or 7. The number is not crucial. It's just there aren't that many. That's the key. No pun intended. So words and frequencies. I wanted to show you this because this is a word count in the framework. And one of the things that it shows you is some of the things that are important when you go through the Baldrige framework. And from the organizational's perspective, it asks, what are your key customer segments? What are your key strategic advantages? And so it's the organizations. So in the framework, the number one word used outside of conjunctions is your. You or your. What is it to you? And as an examiner, that's what you're looking for is theirs. The next thing is organization. This is important because once in a while a leader will tell you, this is what I do. What you are looking for is what the organization does. And does that leader's story match stories of other leaders in the organization? Then performance. This is not pay to play. What is your performance? Workforce, results, again, organization, and then notice key 296 times. What we are looking for are the most important things. Just keep that at the forefront of your mind. So as systems, it's going to be leadership, strategic planning, customer focus, what they're measuring, what is their key workforce focus, what are the key things in those areas, what are your key operational focuses. Now, you may have one department that does a few small things, but it doesn't go through the organization. We're not looking for those. I mean, we might see a best practice that we want to share with them, but we're really looking for the integrated, holistic processes in the organization. Then remember, when you find something that's key, really important to that organization's success, now you're using Adley. And what you're doing is once you've found something that's key, it's important to them, and it's a key system, you're looking for, do they have a simple, well-defined approach? And if they do, we want to recognize they have an approach. Now, the next thing we're looking for is that approach deployed and used in the organization? One that I like to use as an example is strategic planning. They have an approach for strategic planning. They've put it together, but have they now deployed it throughout the entire organization? Do people know how what they do relates back up to it? And they don't have to quote it, but do they know? Is there then a way to learn from that and make meaningful change on the system? And is it integrated through the entire organization? For me, strategic planning is one of the easy ones because if leadership figured out the right goals, is it integrated? Did they listen to their customers? Did they listen to their workforce? Are they looking at operations? Are they continuously improving? And is that integrated? And do they have what we call cycles of learning for their strategic plan? So just remember, when you find something that's key, Adley when it comes to processes, approach, deployment, learning, integration. And then remember, Adley is about integrating into the organization. And your examiner's role is really to look for the deployment of those key systems. Very, very important. Not all the individual systems, the key systems with a holistic and aligned approach. And then your goal will be to give them feedback on that. Hey, is it deployed and is it truly integrated? And if you don't know what that means yet, it's okay, it will come. But I want you to remember they had an approach. Is it deployed? Are they learning from it? And is it truly an integrated key system? And so if you understand the key systems through the lens of Adley and the questions in the Baldrige framework, organizations can improve their performance and achieve sustained excellence. You give them feedback, they go back and look at it, they create a cycle of learning to focus on their key elements. I just wanted to try to give you a word picture. One of the things that musicians do is they don't just start playing notes. They need to know what key they're in. A lot can hear it really quickly, and if you're really good in organizations, and as an examiner, you'll pick up on the key the organization's playing in very quickly, especially if they're an integrated organization that is working together and harmonizing their systems. If not, you will hear noise in the organization. This system isn't working with this system's a little bit out of touch. What you're looking for is that they're playing in the same key. The key elements are most important. And while this is a loose illustration, I think it works. You wouldn't go into a concert hall and as musicians are warming up and tuning their instrument, you wouldn't start giving them advice before you got to see them all play together. You would want to hear that they're in the right key, they're harmonizing, they're playing the notes, they're on the same sheet of music, they understand those things. This is the same thing we're looking for in an organization. You want to hear the key first. So what does it mean? Defining a key in Baldrige is really, again, major, most important, vital few elements that are critical to the organization's success. Essential, and then we're going to focus on the vital few. Yes, I know I've said that 3 or 4 times. That's the entire point, is I really want you to hear this aspect of key. If you understand this, you know how to evaluate and look at how they're improving and what's essential to that organization. If you are asking yourself, I don't know what's important to this organization, you need to dive into that. The big keys, mission, vision, and values, strategy, workforce, customer, look in those areas. And then just want to remind you, typically the majority of what is important to the organization is found in the organizational profile. They tell you who their identity is. They tell you what's important to them. Now, I will say this. It doesn't mean they don't get to play in the Baldrige world. If they say, well, we didn't tell you that was important, so it's off the record as an examiner, well, if the question asks it, or it's not exactly right, it's still on the table. Key's just telling you what is important to them, how to identify the most important things. That's what's typically found in the operational profile. Then you're looking for their key leadership systems, their key strategy systems, what's important to their key customer segments, how they listen and engage. Same thing with key performance indicators. What are the key things you're measuring? Not everything. What are the key things for your workforce? What are the key things for operations and continuous improvement? And then what are the most important key results to you? So how do you do this? The first thing I would tell you is listen deeply. Try not to bring your preconceived notions to the table. This is really important. And I struggled with this early on. I brought my mindset to the table constantly instead of starting with what's important to them and really listening for what they're doing. And then you're looking for clarity. Can they truly define it for you? Can they tell you what's important? You don't bring it to them. If they've put in their application, can people through the organization tell you, but it would only be the key things. Not everybody knows everything about the organization, but they should know the most important things. And then alignment. Are the key elements reflected and aligned through the organization? If they have a strategic plan, do you see it in workforce? Do you see how they use it with customers? Do you see how they use it with continuous improvement? Looking for those key things. Again, once you know what the process is, now you're listening for deployment. Are the keys consistently deployed through the organization? And then you're looking for integration. Are they used to make key decisions? Do they use them to drive learning in the organization? And are they improving performance on the keys? Do they really know how to look at them? So this is now slightly redundant, but I want to drive it home. Where you're looking for the key systems, the leadership systems as defined in the framework: strategy, customers, knowledge management, workforce, operations, and then what are the results that are meaningful. If they tell you something's important in the mission, vision, and values or strategy, is leadership doing something with it? Is the strategic plan doing something? Do their action plans do something? Have they developed it by listening to their customers? And are they measuring what matters? That's really the keys. And then I would just say, before you give feedback, listen for the melody, listen for how it resonates through the organization. Before you write a comment, make sure it's important to the organization and you can show why. Those are called key factors. And then before you write feedback, understand the context, the systems, and the priorities, and then you can give them really good feedback. This is how Baldrige shows it. Just remind you, listen for the keys.